Hey everybody, welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. As always here on the channel, if you're new here, I review 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays and other physical media releases, mainly of movies, sometimes of TV shows, things like that. I like to make sure that you're informed before you make a buying decision. Now, today I have a review for you here of a brand new release. Actually, technically, as I'm filming this, this hasn't come out yet. This gets released on September 23rd. Ironically enough, I'm filming this on Batman Day, which is September 20th. And what's funny about that is I'm reviewing Superman today. This is the all-new 4K release of the 2025 Superman starring David Corenswet here. I really love this like kind of holographic changing color here. It's kind of a neat little thing. But this is the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray here. This was sent to me by Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, so big thank you to Warner Brothers for their continued support of my channel here. As always, as I always like to say, when I get a product, I am not being asked to give any particular opinion about the product. I'm just supposed to make some kind of online content about it. They don't care what I say. So my review is my words and mine alone. For Superman here, this was a movie that I did not see in theaters. And I wanted to because I actually really like the original Superman series with Christopher Reeve. Even though Superman 3 and 4 are kind of disaster zone type movies, Superman 1 and 2 are right up there with the Michael Keaton Batman films as some of my favorite superhero movies ever made. The original film by Richard Donner especially is probably like a top 3 superhero movie to me. It really showed people that superhero films are possible and that you can actually make a semi-serious one and make it a good movie. So we really have, you know, Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve and all those other guys, Gene Hackman, Margot Kidder, who all were phenomenal in that original film. So when I heard that James Gunn was going to do a Superman movie, I was very excited. And I just want to give my opinion of this film before we get into the actual 4K review, because I like to talk about the movies themselves a little bit before I actually review the film. If you don't want to see this, feel free to skip ahead. I will say I was greatly disappointed by this movie. And it's probably an unpopular opinion because I know this movie was a fairly big hit. But I really didn't enjoy this movie. And I mean in a big way. I really didn't enjoy this movie. Movie's just a little over 2 hours long. And I think everybody involved really did the best they could here. David Corenswet, I think, did pretty good as Superman, but everything else about this movie, the pacing of it was really bad. The tone of it was all over the place. The cinematography was so flat. It had great colors and, you know, like it was nice looking, but it just was shot so matter-of-factly. The action sequences were not exciting. Except for the last maybe like 30 minutes of this movie, this was a slog to get through. And I know a lot of you probably enjoyed this movie, but I can't help but compare this to other Superman films of the past. And there was just no charm to this film. And I know James Gunn really wanted to capture the feeling of the original Richard Donner Superman film and even its sequel, and it just fell very flat to me. I mean, almost the entire proceeding of it fell flat. I really tried my best to like this, and I really hope that the next film that they're working on, which I think is called Man of Tomorrow, I hope it's an improvement on this, but I don't know. I really wasn't big on this movie, guys, and I'm sorry if that upsets some of you. It's just my opinion. Again, everybody has opinions. It's just, this one didn't do it for me. So without further ado, let's jump right into the review here of Superman. Now, this is just a one-disc 4K release. It does come with a digital code that redeems on Movies Anywhere, but this is actually quite a packed 4K here. The picture quality on this, which I'll talk about first, was pretty impressive. It was shot digitally, and it did have a 4K digital intermediate, which this has. So this is in 4K, but it also comes from a 4K, 6K, and 8K source. This was shot with RED cameras, very, very high resolution, high-end digital cameras, and the film was shot for IMAX. So the movie does dynamically switch between 1:85 to 1 and 1:90 to 1, the IMAX ratio, I should say. And it does shift, back and forth throughout the film. Most of the film will take up the entirety of your screen, which is really, really nice. Now, the interesting thing about the picture quality on this is, even though it was shot completely digitally, it does seem like the filmmakers have put in a kind of like fake layer of film grain all throughout this movie. And it's very, very light. I mean, almost unnoticeable. I actually had to get really close to the TV to even see this like artificial layer of film grain. It doesn't really mess up the picture in any way. It does kind of make me interested to see that more and more movies that are newer films are doing this. I think The Accountant also did this, or The Accountant 2, I should say, a movie that I reviewed a while back. That also had like a fake layer of film grain in it. So that artificial grain, again, it's there. If you're not a fan of film grain, you're probably going to be fine with this because it's just so minor. But I do find it interesting that more and more filmmakers are doing this. They're trying to give the movie a filmic look, but they're shooting it digitally. Again, digital films, there's nothing wrong with them, but I always find that movies that are shot on actual celluloid just have a little bit of a different touch to them. I can't put my finger on it. It's very hard to define, but there's something about it that just gives it a wholly different look. So I don't know. Now, as a brand new movie, I really didn't expect any issues with the picture quality on this, and there really isn't. This does have Dolby Vision HDR, and I did watch it in Dolby Vision, and I will say the picture quality on this, from the detail level to the colors, the black levels, everything is pretty much pitch perfect. The Dolby Vision really makes the colors in this pop. And even though the cinematography really was nothing to write home about, the colors really do jump out at you. And there are some really spectacular looking moments in this film. The detail level is super high, and some of the close-ups of the actors and actresses in this film, Superman during, some of his fight sequences. There are actually some shots of Superman's suit where you can actually see like some of the layering of it and everything. It's pretty cool stuff, and it looks great. I mean, there's no complaints there. The movie really does have kind of a larger-than-life kind of color spectrum to it, but it's also kind of realistic. So it's a weird kind of in-between thing. The movie definitely has a highly color-corrected look to it. Like, they went through this frame by frame to make sure every little shot was absolutely perfect. And most movies do have this today, but this one especially, you can tell that they really took their time and made sure that each little frame was absolutely perfect. Again, some of you may like that, some of you may not, but watching it at home on an OLED screen, it really did look phenomenal. Now, as for audio quality, this also has a Dolby Atmos audio track. And much like the picture quality on this disc, the Dolby Atmos track was actually really, really outstanding. The dialogue sounded crystal clear. The sound effects were the big thing in this, because there's a lot of wild sound effects and action sequences in this movie. And the sound effects are really well placed. Stuff going on behind you, in front of you, on the sides. There's a good amount of overhead usage in this. It's not extremely frequent, but there are a few moments where somebody flies over, Superman flies over, and you can hear kind of like the sound of his cape whooshing in the wind. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat stuff. So it's very well done. Now, the music score in this, like I said, even though I wasn't a fan of the music of this film, it did sound really good with this Dolby Atmos track. The original John Williams Superman theme makes a return in this film, and it's used very sparingly, but I do like the placement of it. I just wish this movie had more of like a signature type soundtrack. What music there is and the score that it does have, it did sound pretty great in Dolby Atmos. There also was a very good level of volume on this disc. I didn't really have to raise the volume on my home theater system too much for this Atmos track, and it actually had really good deep bass as well. There were some action sequences where that bass started booming, and I was impressed. It's a surprisingly great Dolby Atmos track. Now, for special features on this disc, there are quite a few of them, and they're pretty cool. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes footage and a lot of insights on the making of the film. One of them is actually kind of a new short that's about Crypto, who is actually probably my favorite part of this movie. It's called Crypto Saves the Day, the School Bus Scuffle. There's also pretty much a full-length documentary included on the disc here that's called Adventures in Making Superman. It's an hour long, and they interview cast and crew, everybody in that. And it's a really, really nice, in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at the making of this movie. There's also a featurette about the legacy of Superman called Icons Forever, Superman's Enduring Legacy. There's also a little featurette about Lex Luthor. There's a Cryptoons featurette. It's about the music of Superman. There's also another featurette that's called Pause to Pixel, Crypto is Born, all about the inclusion and the character of Crypto, the super dog. There's another featurette called Breaking News, The Daily Planet Returns, talking about the Daily Planet, the set of the Daily Planet, and about some of the characters that inhabit that legendary workplace there. There's a featurette called The Ultimate Villain, which I'm not going to spoil here, but it is a moment near the end of the film that kind of comes out of nowhere. And it's an interesting little thing that happens in this film, but it's about that. My second favorite featurette on here is called The Justice Gang, and that talks about the other metahumans that join Superman in this film, like Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. Great stuff. They actually were really fantastic in this movie. I really kind of like Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern in this. So that's a really fun one. Those guys really look like they had a blast making this movie. And there's also a featurette called A New Era DC Takes Off, which is about the new DC studios and how they are kind of revamping all the DC films from here on out. So if you're a fan of this movie, this is definitely the ultimate way to watch this movie. Picture quality was astounding. The Dolby Atmos soundtrack was amazing, and those special features were also really impressive. So they put together a really great home video release for this. I loved this release, even though I was not big on the movie. I do appreciate the amount of effort that they put into this 4K disc. So if you enjoyed Superman, I recommend picking this one up. If you haven't seen it, then I would say probably maybe rent it first, and then, make your buying decision from there. However, if you do want to pick it up, I will leave a link in the description below that goes to Amazon so you can make your purchase. If you do use that link, that does help me out here on the channel. If you really want to support the channel, then the best thing to do is to hit that thumbs up button down below if you enjoyed this video, and definitely make sure to subscribe so you can see more of these new reviews as they come out. So until next time, I wish you guys all the very best. Thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Please stay safe, keep collecting, and take it easy.